Hey everyone, I want to take a couple minutes to extol the virtue of third places, but I'm not talking about co-working. Now, here on LinkedIn, you're probably used to me sharing insights from MillerKnoll around future workplace, maybe future homes, higher education, that sort of thing. But our mission is designed for the good of humankind, and we're interested in how any type of space can positively impact the world. And third places are really important, but they're very poorly understood. So let's start with what are they? The idea came from a sociologist named Ray Oldenburg. He wrote a book back in 1989, 1990 called The Great Good Place, and it introduced this framework. And the idea was home is your first place, it's where you live. Your workplace is your second place, it's where you work. And then third places were where you gathered. They were usually places that were in close proximity to where you live that you would regularly go to hang out, to be in dialogue, in particular, to interact with people who might not be a lot like you, but shared your community. There's a lot of different kinds throughout the course of history and different types of places. We might think of community centers, we might think of places of worship, we might think of coffee shops, we might think of taverns. Think of the role of taverns and their impact on the formation of government in America back in the 1700s as an example. Or if this reference helps, I know I'm kind of old, but think of Cheers, you know, fantastic TV show, bunch of Bostonians of highly different backgrounds coming together to hang out. One of the benefits of third places is they are places that you can begin to get a much deeper sense of understanding of people different than yourself, and you could talk about each other's lives and your community and the world. And unfortunately, for a lot of years, third places they've struggled. Some of it has to do with planning, like suburban planning, rural planning, a bunch of single family homes. There's just not a lot of good places to hang out. You might see a suburban development with like a pool and a rec center, which is cool. That's a third place. But by and large, a lot of people don't have access to that quick little corner coffee shop that you might find in Paris, or that public house that you might find in England. The other issue has to do with our use of technology. We have increasingly connected with other people. I'm guilty of this, by the way, and sought out information digitally. And I'm putting a link to a video with Oldenburg where he kind of dismisses the idea of a digital third place. By the way, he's kind of a curmudgeonly but really insightful guy. The video is fascinating. But if you look at people's behavior online, they tend to connect with people that are like them, and they tend to connect with ideas that affirm what they already believe. And so we become isolated. we live in our own bubbles. And third places have the power to overcome this. But we need to be more purposeful about leveraging them in our communities. So this whole framework of first place, second place, third place, I could go on and on in this video about how co-working has rightfully earned its place among second place, and whether or not home is in some ways a little bit under threat by the amount of work that we do there when it becomes imbalanced. I can go on and on. But the real point here is, let's elevate the value of third places. If you're somebody that happens to have a hand in creating buildings or creating neighborhoods or communities, we can prioritize these. But just for all of us, regardless of what we do for a living, there's value in getting out of our houses and going to a bar or a coffee shop or someplace else on a regular basis to expand our networks, to get to know people that are maybe different than us, to be in dialogue, so that we gain a greater sense of understanding and we promote a greater sense of belonging, but ultimately so that we promote community. So if you're interested, check out Oldenburg's book, The Great Good Place, or the video up above.